How do we see this? How do you see Roma in particular? He's had a ton of injuries, Mina. I know that, you really liked him a while back. I don't know if that's flickering a little bit. There's talk of Zaniolo as a striker. I mean, he's trying to be creative, right?
I've never felt more sorry for a team than I feel right now for Roma. I mean, how many is it? 13 injuries already. Dzeko being forced to play on and he can't even jump, and he has like this nail under on his cheekbone, and you just think it's a terrible situation because they just don't have anyone to play. And they're going to have to be creative because, what else can they do? They can't. I just don't think they can play Dzeko. So it's going to be a very difficult game. I think despite all of that, I thought it was interesting that Fonseca came out, and what's being reported, at least from the club, is that he's still very upset. He understands that there's an injury crisis, and he understands that they're obviously not firing from all cylinders because of it, but that he thinks that the team lacks courage, that they should have done more against Sampdoria, who was just there to really contain them. It was a 0-0 draw over the weekend. And I think that he's really upset that the team is not pushing to try to demonstrate his attacking style of play. Now, Milan under Pioli look to be...
Just about Fonseca, maybe you should have a word with the manager, right?
Well,
because all these things that you're describing, being more attacking, having more courage,
that's why you pay
the guy a ton of money to go and try to get his players.
But it is also the beginning, so I'm not going to be... Yeah. I mean, you're right, and he should be doing that. So this is where it's interesting to see that, because we did see Roma at times doing that, against Genoa, for example, I do think that it's a case of injury. So what do you think? I mean, he's finally back for this match on the bench because they obviously appealed because he was banned for 2 games, but he'll be back for this match. But do you think that we should really be criticizing him at the moment? Fonseca?
No, I'm not criticizing Fonseca, but I think when you frame it that way, about that we should be more attacking, we should be more courageous, I'd like to see managers say, like, to quote our buddy Andy Reid, I need to be doing a better job of getting my message across. That people always seem to forget that is 50% of a manager's job. You can have the best idea in the world, but if you don't get buy-in,
But Roma's a notoriously difficult club, so I just feel like at the moment his task is going to be that much harder than a lot of people's.
Yeah, that's why he gets paid a ton of money for the job. I mean, he's not some dude, he's not one from the bottle, to quote his countrymen. He's a guy who managed Shakhtar Donetsk, went into a different culture. He did it. He got buy-in, and now you're waiting for it. Certainly, the injuries don't help. But how are you seeing Milan in this? Is it? First of all, did you see this about the 3-2-2-3 formation? Is this really what he's doing?
Yes. You have to say that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's a copy of Mancini.
Yeah, I mean, this is always the thing with formations. I think I've enjoyed Ancelotti sort of almost pulling it apart and being very open about that actually in his Napoli press conferences, walking journalists through it. What Napoli do is a 4-4-2, but in practice does it ever look like a 4-4-2?
No.
Only in very specific contexts, like when you kick off. In practice, yes, it kind of does shape out like a 3-2-2-3. It's sort of like.
But it's not because he's going out there to do that. It's because he's basing it really in a pragmatic way, because Theo Hernandez loves to attack and he can actually join the front line. So it's like the way that it's played, it almost looks like tilted, and then he can be part of the attack and then also come back and defend.
Yeah.
I think that it's a pragmatic way of doing it. I don't think this is purely trying to be philosophical and being like, this is the kind of game and I'm trying to copy what Mancini does and I'm trying to copy what other people have started to do with this formation.
No, I think Pioli is, as we talked about after his appointment, he's a textbook case of a manager who has no sort of great pretensions or image of himself where he's too proud to do new things. All through his career, you can chart everywhere he's been. He's almost basically just followed the trends as a manager. He's almost gone, okay, what formation is working for a lot of people right now? All right, so yes, he will have taken his ideas from other places, and why shouldn't he if it's a good idea? I thought Milan were, in every sense, looked better against Lecce. I mean, they still didn't get the result, which is the problematic part of it. But everything from the performance of Theo Hernandez to Çalhanoğlu suddenly, doing brilliant things, to Piontek coming off the bench and scoring. I know you didn't even like that substitution of Piontek.
I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was stupid. But, I mean, as we found out, Piontek came on because Leao had a muscular injury.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I should be upset that, I thought Çalhanoğlu and Piontek were the problem, and then they go and score the 2 goals that get them their point.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because the fans started out by sort of booing Çalhanoğlu. And incidentally, Marco Giampaolo had spoken about him at length about how he's so good and obviously played him in midfield. And you're like, well, I'm not sure this is the right player. But Pioli sort of gave him that confidence and he came on and he knew he was being booed. And I said on the last pod, and I like to take credit for this, that he would be a player that would shine against Pioli. And I thought that helped to finally be put in the right position. Something as simple as that, just put him a little bit further forward. Don't shackle him with any defensive duties. Leave, Kessie and Biglia to do all of that. And then, he gets the corner. And then did you hear, like, all of a sudden, Milan fans were on board with what Çalhanoğlu was doing. And I felt like for him, that was such a great moment because he's obviously had such a bad start to the season. He hasn't been very good over for a while now. So to have that and then to have Piontek come back and score from open play as well, it's a revival and you could feel sort of the happiness of certain players.
I'd be careful with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, they still didn't beat a bad Lecce team, so let's see. But it was encouraging, I would say.
I meant really, it's more of a confidence boost, I mean, whether or not you could see they have problems because physically they fell apart in the second half. They couldn't keep up.
It's a confidence boost for the team because of the way they played in the first half.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I said, I don't know on what basis we should believe that Çalhanoğlu is going to play like that again when he hasn't played like this all season.
You have to prove it. You have to
and
yeah, absolutely.
Piontek, ball's there, he'll put it in. But, I don't think this means that he's turned some corner and all of a sudden he's anything more than what he has been for the last 6 months. So I hope they don't abandon, Pioli's pragmatic, but I hope that this doesn't become a thing, where if they don't score in the first half, all of a sudden, like, oh no, let's make it all about Çalhanoğlu, let's send Piontek on,
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.